Now that we have permissions coming in from the backend, what I want to do today is start working on the CRUD. Now, what is CRUD? CRUD is really just an acronym for create, read, update, delete. And these are the basic functionalities within any project that you have. It's just narrowed down to a very small word, which is just CRUD. What I envision for this is to have a create modal, and the modal that we can use for each of the different resources that we have, we'll be able to use create and have a create modal. We'll use edit and have an edit modal, and we'll be using the same modal for both of those, right? Based on what we're doing with them. Let's take a quick look at the example one that I want to use, and then we'll pull everything in. If we go over to the AdminLTE site where we can basically take a look at all the different things that we want to use, we have a set of modals here that we can launch, and they basically just show you what they are. So this one is a primary modal, and that's because it is blue. This one is a danger modal because it is red, and so on and so forth. And the one that I want to use really is just the basic large modal, and this should be able to house all of the different properties within the resource that we can basically just create an update, right? And so it'll have a save changes button, close, or whatever we want to put in there. But this is the example. So let's go and grab that from the download link that I gave you, and let's bring that in. Within that Google Drive link that I gave you, we can go into the AdminLTE folder, into the pages folder, UI, and then there's a link here to modals.html. This is basically where all the modals are being displayed to that page that I just showed you. So I just want to do a quick search for, let's say, large, modal, large. Okay, so that's 2. This is the actual modal that it is. So I'm going to copy this one, and then I want to go up to the other one. And as you can see, it really is just a button with some classes on it. It's got a data target. That's what brings up that modal. Once you click the button, the modal, modal. Once you click the button, the modal opens. That's how we get it done. So let's go and bring that modal in first. So from here, we can go to the permissions index and go down. And basically, I want to put it after the card. So it's going to be outside of the card. We have card body. So this is the end of card. Then there is a div here, and we could really just put it in here. We have modal large, and let's go and grab the things that we're going to need for that button in order to make the button work for now. It uses jQuery. So in here, I am going to copy this button, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it above this one, just so we can see what it does, right? So we'll save that. And we have it here. So if we click it, we have a modal, and it is within our color scheme, which is cool. Click it, close, click it, save changes. That hasn't done anything, so it's not going to close, but we can click that little X. And we can also click outside of the box, which will also close that. So for now, as I said, we are going to keep things as simple as possible. So we just want to get it to work first, and then we'll make it more view friendly. Actually, let me just grab this, the data toggle. We'll use the jQuery version of it for right now. And as I said, we'll make changes to it a bit later. Button default, that's not needed. We can get rid of this temporary one here. And let's see what we can do to the modal. Well, first we can create the first thing here. And for now, as I said, just to keep it simple, we're going to start with create. So we'll say create a permission. The dismiss is fine. That's fine. And here is where I want to put my form. So our form is going to just be at submit, prevent. And again, for now, it's just going to be create permission. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to copy this, and this is going inside of the form. In the div with modal body, I'm going to put a div with some classes. For us, it's just going to be card and card primary. Here, I'm going to have a form group. And again, these are just Bootstrap classes. This is going to be a label. The first one is going to be display name. And for the class, I'm just going to put column, form, label. And then in here, we can put display name. Then I'm going to need an input type. The type will be text. We'll put the name here, even though it's not going to matter too much. We'll also do the same thing for ID. And I just want to put a class of form control on it. And for now, I just want to see what that looks like. So we have it here. I do want to add some border radius, so we'll add a style for that. For the border radius, I'll just put 0.25 rem. And that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and add the other fields and then continue on. So to make this easy, I'm just going to copy this one and we're going to do the same thing for the next field, which will be for the name. And if you remember when we took a look into the database, the name is actually a slug. So I'm going to also add that here, just so that the user is aware that we're going to be slugifying this name. They don't have to do it. We're going to set up a system so that it takes care of that for them. But I just want to put it in the label here that that is an existing thing. So we have text, form control, same thing with the border. The name on this one, again, is name. And we don't have a value for it yet, which is fine. Let's grab the last one, which is description. This will be label for descript. I can't spell description. This will be description. And then instead of input type here, it'll be text area. And this one will have 2 rows. I'm not going to put columns on here because I wanted to fill out the whole thing, but the class will be the same as this. So I'll grab this. And we'll grab the name ID and the style as well, and the value. But we're going to change this to description. And that should be good. Let's go ahead and continue. We have the div modal footer here, which is fine. And then the button, it'll be button danger. This will be the cancel button. And the button primary, this will be a type of submit. It will still be button primary. But instead of save changes here, for now, as I said, I'm going to be saying that it is create. And that should be everything from that modal. So let's see. Okay, look at that. Create permission, display name slug. We have all of our fields in here. Perfect. Let's go ahead and create that create permission function, and then we'll head to the back end and do the stuff that goes on the back end. So let's head up top. We're going to use the use form from Inertia. Which means that we can come down here and create a const form equals use form. We'll need the name, the display name, the description, and all of those are going to be empty strings for now. So if we come down, we'll create a const create permission. And then we'll do form post. And we haven't created these yet, but it'll be admin permissions store. We'll do preserve. Scroll is true. On success. We'll just console log the form just to see what we get. So let's go and add the V models so that we can send this to the back end. And those V models are going to be on those inputs. Here, you know, I'm going to get rid of these. We don't need these and they're taking up space. So where we have this value, we can just change it to V model. And this will be form.displayName. And I'm going to copy that, go down to the next one. And here will be name. And again, we'll get rid of the name and the ID. Let's go and make a route for that. This is going to be post store. Let's go to the permission controller. And we'll head down to that store function, which is right here. For now, let's just die and dump. And let me open this up because I forgot you guys like to see where I am. We'll save that and we'll see if the function itself is just being tapped from the front end to the back end, and then we'll continue on. Let's go ahead, hit create, and I'm going to open up the terminal so that we can see the console log. We'll put some data in it. Create. Okay, well, the console log didn't go through because it didn't actually finish processing in the backend. But as you can see here, we have the name, the display name, and the description. And that's the information that we put into this fake little thing right here. Great. So we know that it is essentially working at this time. Before we do anything else, I want to set this up so that as we type in a name here, I want it to show on the front end. I want it to reflect in this slug spot here that we are creating a slug. I want that to be seen on the front end. In order to do this, JavaScript has a really nice string function that allows us to manipulate these things on the front end. And this is what's going to make it easy for us to let that use what we type in to display on the front end. So we're just going to use this string method to help us do that. Now, if we go ahead back to the permissions index, right between the form and the const of create permission, the create permission function, I'm going to create another value and I'm going to call it Slugify. In this Slugify function that we're going to have, I'm going to pass in a string. Now, the nice thing about this is that you can pass in any string. Whatever field that you're going to be using, you can just plug it right into here. It doesn't matter. It's going to accept it as a string. In here, we can do return string, passing in that string that we're passing in from whatever we're typing in. And that's how we're going to use the string JavaScript method. So the first thing I want to do is I want to normalize it. And to normalize it, I want to do NFK D. And what this will do is it'll take whatever the accented characters ever, if there are, and it'll split it with the actual base characters. Now, I don't have a keyboard that I can show you that, but that's just what that's doing. So after this, then we're going to replace. In the replace, we're going to have a slash, backslash. I can't remember, forward slash. I think it's a forward slash. We're going to have some straight brackets here, then a backslash, and then it's U0300. And I'll explain what this is after I finish typing it out. Backslash U036F. And then come outside of that bracket, the closing bracket, do a forward slash G. And then the second field here will be open parentheses. And this is going to strip out all the accents in whatever the characters are. It's based on Unicode. There's a lot of explanation in this, but if you look at the documentation, as a matter of fact, I'll link it down in the description so that you can take a look. Just know that this is normalizing and then it's replacing. And that's why we have it in the order that we have it in. The next thing we want to do is we want to trim. And all this trim will do now is get rid of any leading or trailing space, whether it's from the back of the string or the front of the string. It'll make sure that it's a nice clean string with no spaces in the back or the front of it. Because I want these to be lowercase, we're going to say to lowercase. Again, that's just going to convert it to lowercase. Then we're going to do another replace. But this replace now is going to be a /, open up some brackets, then we'll do a caret A through Z 0, 9, hyphen with a space in between. Make sure that there's a space in between. And then we want to close this off with G. And then at the end of that, it'll just be an empty string. All this is doing, it's just regex, and it's going to remove any non-alphanumeric characters. It's just going to strip everything out of it. Then we're going to replace again. And we're going to do // S / G. And here we're going to put a hyphen in it. Now what this one is doing, it's just replacing anything that has, if we have spaces between words, so let's say something like create permissions, if there's space between those two words, then we want to replace that with a hyphen so that that's what's actually making the slug version of whatever it is that's going in there. As a matter of fact, I'll put notes at the end of this too, just so that you guys could have a record of it and you can, you don't get too confused later on. So that one is to split the accented characters. This one is going to be removing, and good thing I did this because I have semicolons where I don't need them. Remove all accents. The trim. Don't need that. To lowercase. Convert to lowercase. Remove all alphanumeric characters. Replace spaces with hyphens. The last one on here, it's going to be replace. We're going to do / hyphen plus / G or / G and then hyphen. And this one will be remove consecutive hyphens. And so all that's is saying if something is a consecutive hyphen, so like this, then it will remove one after the other and we'll just replace it with one hyphen. That's good. We have a nice little function that we can use for other places. What I want to do is I want to make another property, and we'll go up here to do it. And I'm going to call it nameSlug. This is the one that I'm going to use in the form. For nameSlug, I'm just going to return the Slugify. That's the function that we just created. And I want to put in the form.displayName. And then here I'm going to say to lowercase. Now, if we go down back to the modal, right over here where we have the name, where we have the, where is it? The slug. If we go over to where we're doing the vModal, now we can change this. But because this is no longer in the form, it's not what we're sending through, we can actually leave this as value and say that that equals the name slug. And then it's form.displayName. As we type, we should be able to see it. Let's go and see if this is working before we move on any further. I'm just going to go ahead, click create. And now if we start typing something, look at that. We're not getting our hyphen. Let's go and see what that's about. Well, before we start doing that, I also want to make sure that I put disabled on here, just so that it's not something that can be easily changed from the front end. And let's take a look. Okay, this all looks good, but I forgot to put that there. Let's try it again. Go to create. We'll try typing in something, and look at that. We have spaces. If we have capital, then it shrinks it down to lowercase. Perfect. We also have that, which is fine, and we can't click anything in here. Let's go ahead and send this to the back end. Again, keeping things very simple, we'll go to the permission controller. Get rid of that, and then we'll do permission, create. We'll need the name, and it will be request name. This will be display name. and then this will be description. Really, we'll just return to route admin permissions index. This is good for now. Let's just make sure that we're getting this. Refresh, create, fill it in. Okay, so we're getting some kind of request name doesn't exist. Why do I have parentheses here? Let me go and remove that. Sorry guys, I kind of blanked out for a bit, I guess. Try it again. It cannot be null. And why would name be null? Let's take a look. We have the name up there that's coming in through the form. And is it because I changed it? I think it is. Display name. That's because we changed the display name. We changed the name to be the display name. We do need to do some configuration in here. So let's actually see what we're getting from the request. Just so that we can take the appropriate actions for that. Right, because we're no longer passing in the display name, which is this. Why don't we grab this, since that is the display name. We'll grab this, and this is what will be the name in the backend. So this will also be display name. But we're going to do two things. I want Laravel's string helper. And I want to actually string it to lower. I want to string it on lower because then we can uppercase it on the front end. Because if we look here, it's just capitalized on the first character. So I'm going to lowercase everything that's going to come in from here. And then we'll fix that on the front end to display here as uppercase. Because all of these are uppercase. So we'll make it lower, uppercase everything. And then in here, I want to slugify this. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to paste it in here. Now we should be able to get this deleted, and let me make sure. This is just coming from use illuminate support string. Okay, let's see what happens now. Because it's coming in oddly, but the slug is good. Create. And did I not send it to the back end? Yeah, because we have the console, we've got everything from the form coming in. But let me refresh the page. And as you can see, there it is here. This is our slug, which it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. And the display name I want to make sure is uppercased. Let's go and deal with that first. So we'll go back to the permissions index. And we need to go to where we're looping over it in the table. For the display name, I'll just do class equals text capitalize. Okay, great. Now if we take a look here, now you can see everything is capitalized and it looks exactly the way that we want it to look. Cool, so we've already gone ahead and created this. Go to create, and we need to do something to handle opening and closing that. So what I want to do is, for now, I just want to come up here and for the create permission. So instead of doing console log out, we'll just use the jQuery that came with it. It's targeting that Modal LG ID, and we'll say Modal hide. Refresh, create, create. And if we come down, this is the new one. And as you can see, this closed. For now, that's good. So we have gone ahead and we're able to create a permission. We are moving right along. We're just going to leave it here. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.